Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Griever back here, bringing you guys another, not exactly behind the bar review, but that's only because of the reconstruction of the basement. I still have my beer, I still have my manga, and we are here to do Akatsuki no Yona, chapter 193. This chapter sucks. Like, I'm serious. This is probably my most hated chapter since the whole Yona agreeing to the alliance thing. I think that was about 20 chapters ago, 15 chapters ago. I didn't like that. And this chapter, there's a key reason why I hate this chapter. Because it's fucking us around. There's no other better way to put it. It's looping us back to what we're supposed to believe when we know there's more information. Look, One Piece has been going on for over 900 chapters, and Oda has never done that. 20 years of storytelling, he has never gone, you thought the One Piece was this, but in the end, nah, you were wrong. He never gives us that runaround roadrunner bullshit. Right here, this chapter did exactly that. Okay, because, here, let me explain. We're not going to go through this panel by panel. I'm just going to explain why this chapter sucked, and then that's going to be the review. So if you guys don't like it, please hit the dislike button. Tell me why I'm wrong right now. But if you are a man of culture, if you have levels of intellect, if you are a woman of culture, you will stay and listen to my reasoning, because I still like the story. I still like the manga. But the reason I hate this chapter is because it's giving me the runaround. I don't like that. At the beginning of this story, we knew Yona I to be a tyrant who chopped off people's heads and threw them over the walls to a defeated city. We knew him to burn clergymen and priests to the ground. We knew him to be a war god of unprecedented bloodlust. That's how we knew him. That was our impression of him. For over 100 chapters, that was our impression of soo-won's father, right? The tyrant. Then we got this flashback, and we realized, there's a lot of us suspected it before this flashback, myself included. There's more to this story. There has got to be more to this story. And absolutely, there clearly was. We have this flashback, and I won't go into great detail. You guys read the chapters, you're up to date, you know what happened, you know what's happening right now. Yona is not this bloodlust-filled tyrant of evil that we have been told he was through other characters' perspectives throughout the story. All of a sudden, this chapter opens with nonchalant. Burned all the priests. Burn the temple to the ground. Don't worry about it. Okay. Can I... Hold on. Step back. I think we missed a chapter. I think we missed 192.5 here because, yes, I know how distraught it was. I read 192. I actually read it again before rereading this chapter because I was like, what did I miss? What happened in the in-between? We went from, so they know my wife has, the blood of the, Crimson Dragon King, to burn every goddamn priest at the stake. Does that sound like a Yuhan we know? No, I'm not buying one iota of this. There's more to the story, but this is why I hate this chapter. Because we all of a sudden jump at the very beginning to he burned all the priests. Starting with the high priest and the temple, burned it all to the ground. His father was like, bad boy, you don't do that, Yona. And that was it. He literally burned a temple and executed how many dozens of people, burned at the stake, children, women included, and he went, bad boy. I have so many goddamn questions. This flashback was supposed to clarify. It was supposed to answer the questions. It wasn't supposed to give us this whole... Because now we're still back where we started. The moment... I don't know at what point, at what volume, at what chapter, people started to question Yuhan's actual tyrantness. But it's been there in the fan base for a very long time. I'm sure you guys will agree. I don't know when it started. I'm not going to guess a number. But it's been a few years. Is that fair that it's been a few years? We've been speculating as fans that I'm not buying this whole story. I mean, we're looking at it happening right now. And we've been questioning it, but now we're basically back to square one. Because now it looks like, oh yeah, he's every bit the tyrant. And then we hear from that stupid court lady who's basically saying, oh yeah, he burns children at the stakes, women, children, he burns them all. Which is supposed to go along with the whole him lobbing heads of dead soldiers across the city to send a message. I mean... The thing is, we're not seeing Yuhan do it. And the problem with that is that now all this flashback has told us is basically nothing. And that's why I dislike this chapter. This chapter is a middle finger to the people who thought the flashback would give us information. It hasn't really. The meeting between Yuhan and Yeon-hee means little in the grand scheme of things right now. The ongoings of the main story and the main cast. What does matter is Yuhan and his actions. What matters is why he burned the priest to the ground. What set him to do that? And also on top of that, did he really lob the heads across the... Like, these actions, we need to understand and see all the information he had for when he made these decisions. But this flashback does not show that. This flashback is basically one big romance story from Yeon-hee's perspective, which is a woman we never met in the story. We didn't hear about her until this arc. We knew she had to exist, but what did we really care? We want Yeon-hee's perspective. Or Yuhan, sorry. We have Yeon-hee's perspective, which is once again tainted like us, the readers, and the people in the Koka Kingdom about Yeon-hee. We need to know from his perspective, because now all I can think is that didn't happen that way. Yes, he did do that deed. He burned the priest to the ground, starting with the high priest. But after we learn all the information in this chapter, and we get the entirety of Yeon-hee's mother killed herself and stuff, the priest was so apologetic and so, oh, I'm so sorry. Even though all that happened, we're not getting Yuhan's perspective on this. What we knew from the last chapter, from 192, was that priest felt like goddamn Gobi. That priest gave off the aura of Gobi and is literally Gobi. Reincarnated is Gobi, right? Nobody thought that priest was a good guy. I don't care the story or the lies and the manipulative he spun. I'm sure that Yuhan overheard his plan, or had somebody, I don't know who, maybe the mysterious swordsman with the scar, I forget his name, blah blah blah. Somebody infiltrated and learned about the plan of the priesthood. That the priests were like, they're a bunch of suckers. I'm sure there's some secret meeting we'll be privy to later that he overheard, or somehow he got the message that he did overhear. That the high priest was like, yes, apologetic, of course. We need to bend our knee. We need to appear to bend our knee to these people and be apologetic. But we need that blood. We need to gather them all, either for one reason, to slaughter them, for whatever reason, to slaughter them all so they can maintain political power, or to rise them up as these deity gods or some like, either way, it was manipulative and it was evil what the high priest was planning. And we should have seen that. That's what this flashback should have shown us. I'm not talking about the foreshadowing stuff. I'm saying that we finally got the flashback. This is where we're supposed to get the answers. You're not supposed to lead us to the same question. Because at this point, after reading this chapter, do you guys know what I'm saying? Do you gals, guys, what have you, do you guys understand where I'm coming from here? We already had this question 100 chapters ago. Now you've given us the flashback to give us the answers, but all you've done is make us pose the same question. You gave us more details, but not an answer. So this flashback hasn't spawned new questions. It's just given us more details and still posing the same question. Why did Il kill his brother? Is Yuhan truly evil? Why did he burn the priests? Why did he lob the heads across the city? These questions are still not answered because they skipped his perspective. We've been following him and Yeon-hee's perspective this whole time in this flashback. We know what he's thinking. He's acting very much like Hawk. And we know what she's thinking. But we're only getting her perspective. Then we get the quick time skip. Soo-won's born and it's like, what? And then after this, we get the reveal that Kashi, who's of course, the apprentice priest person, the maiden, shrine maiden, what have you, and she's got a terrible burn on her face, and that girl is dead, and she's been trying to find them this whole time. It's like, that's your wife, brother Il? Are you sure? No, I am happy. Do not speak to my brother about this, and walks away. And it's like, I understand it's supposed to be dramatic, and I suppose we're supposed to sympathize with the characters, but it's almost 200 chapters in. Come on, guys. We need to have the proper information. It's still left in the dark. Why did he burn the priest to the ground? It wasn't over the secret. I'm sorry. Everything we know about Yuhan tells me he wouldn't have literally killed the entire priesthood over the fact that he didn't like that his brother bowed to them and they found out about his wife. No, there was more to the story and we still don't have it because nothing of the character that we have seen in the flashback shows me that he's insane or he's a maniac or he's like, death to the priest, screw religion. Yeah, he's got that attitude, but he wouldn't do it on a whim. There's more to the story. The flashback was supposed to show us the story, and instead it teased us. And the other problem is, it's months. This is a monthly chapter. So, for God's sakes, I've been waiting, all of 2020 to get my answers, and I got this. I got the same question I had back in chapter 70, I have at 193. And the difference is, you jumped away from Yona and Hawk to try to tell me the answer, and he gave me nothing. Oh my God, we got the face reveal of soo-won and Yona's mother. What does it actually matter? Yeah, great fan service, guys. But what does it actually give us? When we jump back to the main story, let's assume next chapter we jump back from here, from right at the end of this chapter. We jump back to the main story. What has changed? What has Yona actually learned? Because what have we as readers learned? We learned what we already suspected, that there's more to the story, and that's it. No details. We assumed that Yuhan was not painted as he was. And then this chapter comes along and tells us, oh yeah, he's totally like that. What indication did we have this whole flashback? None. So we're still left with the same answer at the end. Imagine that the next chapter drops and we jump back. We have literally learned nothing. The characters in the story have learned nothing, and we readers have been reading 3 months of flashbacks to learn nothing. To just put a face to the mothers. That's all we have done. That's why I dislike this chapter. I know this was more of a rant video. I apologize, guys and gals. Very sorry about that. But this is how I feel. I hate this chapter. I'm still going to read the next one and stuff, but I feel like this chapter is basically a big shot in the face to every single fan of this series. Because this is like our burning question. This was in volume goddamn 1 about soo-won's father and what he did as a tyrant. And we have questioned it. Since volume 1, we're up to 193, 194, 195. We're almost at chapter 200. We get a flashback to give us nothing? I don't know. I'm beside myself. Even if we get the answers in the next chapter and they do that whole like time warp, like, oh, within a flashback, we're going to jump back to Johan's perspective, then it was bad writing to do the chapter in this order. It doesn't build suspense. It builds resentment in the fans. Knowing what the fan base was after, knowing what we wanted, this is not a good way to tell this flashback. I'm very disappointed in the flashback at this point as a result because I realize that I've waited months to learn nothing. And let's just assume we actually do get the answers in this flashback, and I'm totally wrong about the direction. Even if we do, what was the point of this chapter then? If you were going to give us the answers anyway, why throw us through this turmoil of a non-main character in a flashback? Yona I, it's not her story. We're not reading a prequel series here. It's a flashback. We don't need to know everything from her perspective. We need the information that matters to the current storyline. That's the point of a flashback. So, I don't know. I dislike the chapter. It's one of my most hated chapters in the whole series. Definitely. Maybe my most hated. Maybe. I really despise this chapter, guys. No, I didn't like it at all. And I love this series. Yona is a great goddamn series. But this chapter's shit. So, anyway, that's my take on it, ladies and gentlemen. If you disagree, post in the comments down below. And if you do agree, or if you have points, or if you want to discuss about this, of course, I'm always open to the discussions. So comment down below. We can definitely open a dialogue about this. We can talk about where I went wrong, why I didn't understand, or why I did understand, or why I think I'm right. All those fun jazz. We can go from top to bottom, all the topics. So that being said, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. It's always very much appreciated. This has been Griever with your Akatsuki no Yona, also known as Yona of the Dawn. Chapter review. Drink responsibly as always, guys. We'll see you back here next time.